So I'm Marc Lobliner, CEO of MTS Nutrition, Chief Marketing Officer, TigerFitness.com. I created something called the Outright Bar. Also have a company called Ambrosia, Pump Chasers, 015 Nutrition. We have a lot of things going on right now. It's a good time. But my background, I've been in this industry for a long time. I've been in this industry since, well, I started at Weeder Publications in 1999. And since then, I've done a lot of things from publishing to I owned a company called Scivation that I sold in 2011. And now I'm doing what I just talked about. But beyond that, I coach strength at high school level, which is that's what I love. That's what I love. I love coaching kids. I love making them the best version of themselves possible. It's my passion. It's my drive. It's everything I'm about. But lately, you know, we all have this opportunity to take a stand with what we feel is right. And that's why, you know, with the Outright Bar and my companies, we have to make decisions on who we do business with. And while the Outright Bar, TigerFitness.com, MTS Nutrition, we're a Cincinnati-based company, you know, Kroger is also based in Cincinnati. So we were very excited to be going into Kroger because for us, it's the best. It's a local store. It's a local market. It's part of like Cincinnati. It's our store. So that's why we're literally about to put the pen to the paper and get Outright Bars across Kroger. And one morning I woke up in December and I found out that Kroger is enforcing mandates on their employees, giving them surcharges for not getting this medical procedure. I'm trying not to say the V word. And so once I heard that, I read it in the morning and I wanted to wait because my initial reaction was, we can't do business with a company that literally erases someone's ability to make a medical decision. And so I waited until my wife woke up and she was on board in not doing business with Kroger, which is a potential millions and millions and millions of dollar deal. I mean, they own multiple stores, Ralph's, like 20 plus grocers. It's a crazy big account. But that's when I drafted the email to Kroger. And I said, look, you know, we are honored to even be in consideration, but I can't, in my best judgment or my ethical compass, I cannot do business with a company that mandates something that isn't for everybody. And I say that as someone whose doctor told him that I shouldn't get it. So if I was an employee there, I would be penalized for my medical history, for my medical choice, for something that my doctor said could hurt me. Now, it might not hurt 99.9% of the population, but what about that 0.1% that might have contraindications? Anytime this country discriminates, it doesn't lead to anything good. Nothing good comes from discrimination. And so I wrote that email, and since I told people that we would be going into Kroger, I just posted online and I tweeted out that, hey, I just turned down business with Kroger. Here's the email I wrote. Here's why. Because I didn't want people to go like, why don't you business with Kroger? Did Kroger turn you down? I was just like, I'm just gonna nip this in the bud. Next thing you know, it goes viral. You know, I'm on Tim Pool's show. I'm on, you know, Jesse Kelly. I'm on the Will Count Majority. I'm going all over the place with this thing. And it really sucks that as a company, your dream is to do business with someone like Kroger because it's such a large, phenomenal grocery store. And I put in the email, I said, look, as soon as you end this, we're in. Like, this can be awesome. It's gonna be a great partnership. But I cannot, in my right mind, support a company that supports discrimination. And that doesn't mean I'm for or against what they're mandating. I'm against the mandate. I'm not for or against what they're mandating. That's a person's decision, a person's choice. That's a decision for them and their doctor. So for me, it's not about the money. If it was about the money, I would have been like, hey, whatever, I'll just look the other way. For me, it's about doing the right thing. The thing that kind of disappointed me is that I thought for sure that other companies would follow. That these other companies pounding their chest and talking about America, America, freedom, getting on the right-wing grift, I thought for sure those bastards would step in and be like, yeah, we're pulling it too. As far as I know, not one other company within our industry, not one other company carried in Kroger did anything about this. They just moved along. But they keep promoting this freedom and they keep promoting this American rights, when at the end of the day, they're not going to put their money where their mouth is. And I think that if another 2 or 3 companies would have done what I did, or at least followed and done a little of what I did, that it would have actually made a difference. But I'm the only one. So what we've learned is that strength comes in numbers. And you're noticing that now as mandates get just toppled from city to city, from municipality to municipality. DC got rid of their mandates. To be free, it's not always free. It costs. It costs time, it costs money, it takes sacrifice. This is a country built on people who made sacrifice for the betterment of humankind, for the betterment of the country, to make freedom a part of our culture. And America's had a very imperfect past. But right now we have an opportunity to tell the government and these people who are acting alongside the government, I don't even know how to put this, we have a time to tell that, look, dude, we do not want this. We do not want you to mandate things on us. We do not want to give you that control. But the fact of the matter is, it's kind of disappointing that no one else stood up to it. But I would do it all over again, because no one's going to remember us when we die for how much money we made. They're not going to remember us for how nice cars we drove or how big our house was. They're going to remember what you stood for. And I know for a fact that I can sleep very well at night knowing that I stood for something. I stood for freedom. And I stood, whether you like it or not, for what my values are. And I didn't sell out. So that's kind of where we went with the Kroger thing. But, you know, all I want is I want Kroger to recognize that what they're doing isn't right. I want Kroger to recognize that what they're doing is not an American thing to do. And as soon as they do that, I would love nothing more than to do business with them. But until that happens, I can't support that brand. The reason I think a lot of companies are not taking a stand is because it sucks. By coming out and saying that I won't sell to Kroger, I was called anti-vax. I was called a white supremacist. I don't even know how that works. I don't even know how saying that I like freedom, like if you're a white supremacist, like freedom's like not a white supremacist. I don't get that. Somebody explain that to me. People got really mad that I believe what I believe. And again, I am not anti-anything. What I am is anti-tyranny. And I'm anti-discrimination. And when you start discriminating against a group of people who just want more information on something, or maybe it's not right for them. Like what if someone, I have a friend of mine who has Lyme disease. If he got this because of what it does to your immune system, his doctor told him it could kill him. So we're gonna punish him for something that is a medical issue? That makes no sense. My opinion's always been that if it works, you take it, and that's cool. Like everything's great. So the reason people don't do anything about it, and I don't want to sound over the top or mean or malicious, even though they might believe the same thing I believe, and I think most people I've talked to do not believe that we should force things on people, is because they're spineless pussies. So every company that stood for something yet wouldn't put their foot down and wouldn't make a stand, they're cowards. They're hypocrites. And there's really no other way to put it. I don't think these people can understand the gravity of their inaction. I don't think they can understand how bad it is, because they're just gonna be like, well, I got by, I'm okay. But I don't think they're gonna have any regret, because I really think the ones who did stand up to this, you know, the ones who did say this is wrong, I think that's gonna cause the government to be like, okay, I think we pushed too far. But the people who didn't, they're just gonna skate on by, and they're gonna benefit from our sacrifice. And that's what's really sad. We're put on this earth for a reason. Some of us are leaders, and some of us are just complete leeches. And that's what these other companies are doing. Like you can't tell me that every brand in Kroger believes that what they're doing is correct. And if there's anything that's worth saying this is enough for, it's mandating a medical procedure on somebody. An experimental one on that. Not that it's good or bad. I think it's phenomenal that in 9 months, we created something so friggin' awesome, right? But it's not for everybody. So if they're not standing up to this, what are they gonna stand up to? And again, it's a slippery slope. Once you start giving away freedoms, it's a dangerous thing. Look, at the end of the day, the reason that they're ending a lot of these mandates is because it's costing them money. Look at Nashville. Nashville is a very Democrat city, surrounded by red, but Nashville is very Democrat. Nashville opened up, was one of the first big party cities to open up. Their economy crushed it. This isn't about a virus. I don't know what it's about. I honestly have been trying to put two and two together and I just can't. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but what they're doing now, you know, like when we know for a fact that lockdowns didn't help, when we have the data and we compare schools that had masks versus schools that didn't have masks, and there's no difference, and we have the data. So the fact of the matter is, honestly don't know why they're doing what they're doing. And I don't know why they're they're trying to mandate something that doesn't stop you from getting or giving it. I don't understand what's going on, but I do know that as long as there's these questions, we need to step up as a society and say, hey, this isn't right. Now, I'm not one to call for a boycott. I think that's kind of silly, but you know, I haven't gone to Kroger since. I shop at Publix. You know, it's a little inconvenient. Kroger actually has better prices. So I'm like, that kind of sucks. But until they reverse that, I can't give my business. But we do vote with our wallets. It is a capitalist society. Capitalism will always win. Once you're able to collectively say that we don't like this. Like, I know there was a big drive when Starbucks lifted their mandate. A bunch of people got together and they went and bought Starbucks. Basically, you vote with your dollars. And they know that they did the right thing. So the Canadian trucker convoy, I'm kind of, part of me, I'm not Canadian. I don't know Canadian culture. I don't know how much support there is. Now, as an American, if this was happening in America, I'd be like, hell yeah, go truckers, right? I don't know their constitution. I do know I see videos of cops running over old ladies with horses, but again, how many interactions do these cops have with people a day? And that could be it could be one bad apple. I don't want to go off and just shit on cops. That's not me. Like, for example, where I live in Franklin, Tennessee, we love our cops. Best police officers in the country. Brentwood and Franklin. That way I'm saying this, so if they pull me over, they won't give me a ticket. Look, at the end of the day, what I have learned, and this doesn't apply to everybody, after watching everything that went on during the lockdowns, if the government or if the local municipality told police to beat their own citizens, they would. What the police are doing in Canada isn't right. What the police did, not all police, but the police I saw arresting moms on playgrounds during lockdowns, that's not cool. Enforcing unconstitutional mandates in New York City, that's not cool. When you're a police officer, you take the oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And it doesn't seem like that's happening. It doesn't seem like anybody cares about the Constitution anymore. It's literally just a piece of toilet paper. And then you have a president who completely shits on the Constitution.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
And then it gets overturned a year later by the courts. I understand the rules of justice, but if our president isn't following the Constitution, and now they're talking about like Second Amendment red flag laws and all that good stuff, like, what? You know, it's not good. It's not good when the whole entire fabric of this country is completely being neglected. That's a problem. But back to Canada, I don't know what's going on. I know what's going on in Canada based on what I see, but I don't know their laws. For example, they don't have a First Amendment. They damn sure don't have a Second Amendment. So I don't know if free speech is a thing there. Based on my American principles, I'm looking at this convoy. And I'm like, well, that's a peaceful protest. And you will not find anybody who's more for peaceful protest than me. Like, protesting's uncomfortable, right? Like, you saw BLM on freeways. I was okay with that. I'm okay with obstructing traffic. It's inconvenient, but that's how you get attention. It's nonviolent. Until you start burning down buildings. That's a problem. That is violent, destructive protesting. Whereas just taking up space and being peaceful, that's inconvenient, but that's Gandhi type shit. That's MLK type shit. But once you start blowing shit up, that's a problem. So the protesters in Canada, my issue is, if you do anything that's against the state, automatically you're a Nazi. You're a white supremacist. I see a bunch of black dudes over there, a bunch of Sikhs. I'm like, they're not white supremacists. They just happen to be a bunch of white people there who drive trucks. And I see them, they're calling them hillbillies. What? Can you even be a Canadian hillbilly? I know that was a thing. You know, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait a second. When you have the media and the government calling people who have no, other than maybe a couple flags, and who knows, that could have been their people placing false flags. You don't know. Like, we see one Nazi flag. I'm like, I'm Jewish. I don't give a shit. Like, at the end of the day, these guys just don't want mandates. So then you have them going out there and making it violent. So when you have a situation, you see all these things of people dancing in the street, just wanting to make change, and then you see government come down on them, you always got to be wary of why they're doing it. What is the motive? I don't know what that motive is. We all have our guesses, right? Like, people point to the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. I don't know about any of that stuff. I never understood the Great Reset, because if they Great Reset, that means the rich people aren't rich anymore either, right? Like, I don't get it. Like, maybe I'm just not smart enough, but I don't know if that's the reason. But I do know this. In America, the most critical thing we have is the Second Amendment. Because the Second Amendment is not there to go hunting. It's not there to protect your house. It is, but it's not. If you read the actual Second Amendment, it's to prevent a tyrannical government from taking over. And the right to form a militia. So once America loses the Second Amendment, we're Australia, we're Canada. We have no way to fight back. So I think that's the one thing we learned here. And also, this goes for both sides. When you saw the lockdowns and all the riots in 2020, 2021, a majority of the gun buyers, if I'm not mistaken, were not even Republican. Like, they were just people who's like, oh shit, we should arm ourselves. So look, man, I'm not a gun guy. I own guns. I'm in Tennessee. It's like the law. You have to own a lot of guns. But I'm not a gun guy. I'm not there like waxing my guns or whatever they do with them. I have them for protection. But it is critical to maintain our freedom in this country. It is critical that we maintain the Second Amendment. Because look at the amendments like this. Like, the First Amendment is the most important thing. Freedom of speech. Freedom of right to assemble. That's another thing. During the lockdowns, the police are arresting people for assembling. There's nothing in the Constitution that right to assemble unless there's a virus. It's not there. You always have the right to assemble. They were arresting people for going to church. How is that right? Okay, Second Amendment is there in case the First Amendment gets fucked with. So look at it this way. They wrote the First Amendment, like, guys, we really need to be able to talk shit. All right, cool, First Amendment. What happens if that gets fucked with? Oh, they can shoot us. Done. So we really need to take care of those first two amendments over everything. Those are the most important things for American society.